Welcome, everyone. Thanks for joining us. We have an amazing, incredible evening. We have a celebration tonight, a double celebration, a celebration of a fantastic organization, Mesorah, New Jersey, Rabbi and Rebbetzin Lewis, their incredible team, including Ashley Namdar has put this together so beautifully, and Rabbi Moti Antelis, who has put their lives and their hopes and dreams in this organization. And it's really fulfilled itself incredibly. Mesorah, for those of you who don't know, but I'm sure many of you who are watching do know, and I know as well intimately because I've been involved with them for a number of years, have done incredible work changing Highland Park, New Jersey, and Jersey City, and the outlying areas, wherever they've managed to bring in young men and women to learn and to grow. Mesorah is a full-fledged Jewish organization that changes people's lives in a real, incredible way. Their mission is to connect Jews to the Judaism and create community. And they've done both of those very, very well, my friends, as I'm sure you know, by running classes, running programs, running trips to Florida, California, Atlanta, Shabbat programming. I myself have had the pleasure and honor of giving many classes in Highland Park and Jersey City. And really everyone that comes is so dedicated and enjoys and grows from the programming so much. As well as that, I've attended Shabbat in Highland Park, New Jersey, in the beautiful and warm and welcoming home of the Lewises. And I've also spent Shabbat a few times in Jersey City, and always such a moving and incredible experience. So we're here this evening, my friends, to celebrate Mesorah, New Jersey, to celebrate a MySiyum that we want to bring and create something which is bringing together a bunch of men and women who've learned, whether it's tractate Shabbat, Shabbos, or Brachos, or Pirkei Avos, and these men and women, of which there are, I think, nearly 170, completed these very long and challenging texts and really brought them to life. And tonight is the completion. And we know that one of the challenges in life is not just starting something, but finishing it. And a MySiyum is that. A MySiyum is the ability to start and complete something. And that's the first celebration. The second celebration, as we said, is Mesorah. And our friends, we ask you to open yourselves up to supporting this incredible organization tonight. You can hear a number of stories for a number of people. We're going to celebrate the MySiyum. If your heart is moved in any way, you know what? Even if it's not, please do contribute to the charity campaign that we have. I'd like you to turn your eyes to the screen to watch this video, which was put together a little bit about Mesorah. Thank you. Okay, let us, we didn't really hear much. Did you hear anything? But let me tell you, those people had an amazing time. And at least you could see them. We're going to try to do that video again a little bit later. We're going to welcome our interviewees that we have this evening. We've selected at Mesorah a number of men and women who have taken on the learning this evening. to finish off their respective tractates, whether it be Brachot, Shabbat, or Pirkei Avot. And what we're going to do right now is we're going to meet some of them and learn a little bit about who they are and hear a little bit about their own personal stories. Who needs an audio and a video when we have the real thing over here? We're going to start with Harvey Pava and Dan Moritz. Harvey, are you online with us? And Dan, are
I
you?
am here.
Good, good. I can see you both. Two fantastic, handsome men. Harvey is a board member of Mesorah and has been involved in many Zoom classes. And Dan has been with Mesorah since the very beginning, the inception of the organization. So good for you, Dan. You've grown a lot, I'm sure. Tell me, guys, what do you love about Mesorah and how did you both get involved?
Great question. Dan, you want to go first or should I jump in?
After you, Harvey.
After me. Okay. So I'll try to synthesize this as much as possible, but moved to East Brunswick in 2013, which is right after I got married and shortly after I actually got involved in Torah Links and then subsequently RJX, which Rabbi Lewis was involved in founding. And then that was a universe I was living in, just trying to help Jews come closer to their spirituality. And, Torah Links really focused on, I would say, the adult crowd. RJX really focused on, college kids, which there's no crowd that's more important than others, but I'm, 29-year-old adult, married, 2 kids. And I loved that Mesorah targeted sort of that demographic because I really felt like the young adult was not a group that was really being spoken to. And it's really, really hard. And, once you're in the workforce and you graduate school, the access becomes so much more limited. It's a lot easier. And this is not to put anybody down, but like on a college campus to reach out to kids than I think it is to reach out to adults who are in the workforce who are maybe a little bit more disconnected. So that inspired me sort of out of the gate. And I think sort of part B to what I really love about Mesorah, and I think is such an important thing that they do, is they really create an opportunity for Jews to meet other Jews, to find their soulmate, to find shidduchim. And I think that's a thing that's become increasingly, to speak bluntly, increasingly more difficult in today's day and age to find someone. And it's really hard and such an important thing. And I think being able to create this social circle in a healthy way and to have people be able to meet other people is something that Mesorah did an incredible job and we're seeing the fruits of that in finding marriages as a result. So that's one of many things that Rabbi Lewis and Rebbetzin Lewis have done to inspire people around them. But that's one specific thing that inspires me and is the reason that I wanted to be involved.
Thank you so much. That's beautiful words. I think you're right. I think it's difficult when you get out of college, because in college, everyone's together, they're studying together, especially at Rutgers, where I know Roy Lewis and Rebbetzin Lewis were very involved. But once you get out and get into the young professional world, it gets harder to connect to other like-minded men and women. So that's definitely one of the great things about Mesorah. Dan, what about yourself?
So I actually got involved, like Harvey mentioned, with RJX probably 10 years ago last weekend at the Rutgers Involvement Fair, where I met Rabbi Lewis. And, Harvey hit the nail on the head that when you are at university, you're in the mindset of learning. You're in the mindset of getting involved with various activities, and frankly, you have a lot of time on your hands. And when I graduated and entered into the workforce, my time became a lot more structured around my career. And what Mesorah did was allow me to take a structure that I had in university, and even prior to that, when I was in Jewish day school, where it gave me an opportunity to continue learning, which I had become very fond of over several years of doing it daily or weekly. And when I graduated, it seemed like it was going to stop because there wasn't that structure to it. I was very thankful that structure was put in place around the time that I did graduate, because I was able to continue to utilize the resources of Mesorah in order to continue to invest in myself. And as a result of that, when my wife and I were thinking about places we wanted to live and settle down, we chose Highland Park because it was a familiar community to us. It would enable the lifestyle that we wanted to live, really revolving around Yiddishkeit and Shabbos. And, we were just very thankful for that.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for your words. I see that this organization has done a tremendous amount for you too. Let's meet some young Jewish women as well. I believe we have with us Erica Kraus, Alyssa Kevelson, and Serena London. I can see Alyssa is online. So we're going to start with you. You just got back from Israel. Is that correct? And you work for an organization, a great organization called Partners in Torah. Tell us a little bit about your experience in Israel, how you ended up going to Israel through Mesorah, and how things progressed from there for you.
Absolutely. Just start off by saying that had I never been connected to the Lewises, my life would look drastically different right now. And had it not been for Mesorah, prior to really meeting the Lewises, the idea of Yiddishkeit or from Jews was like, I was Jewish, but it was totally separate from me and completely inaccessible. And Mesorah allowed me to feel as if Yiddishkeit was accessible, and it is. And I would start going to the Shabbatones. I mean, Esther invited me to stay in a Marriott, and I said, sure, I can keep Shabbos in a Marriott. That sounds good. And
the hotel, you run a hotel.
Right. I had no excuse. And it became the highlight of my week. I would look forward each week to the Shabbaton that was on the calendar or the learning evening after work. I would wait and zip out of my office just to get there. And after a few months of this, I remember just looking at Esther and saying, so if I want to be frum, how do I do this? If I want to keep Shabbos and keep kosher and all these things, how do I do this? And she goes, well, you go to Israel. And I said, okay. And next thing I know, I'm quitting my job. I'm packing up my apartment, and thank God I just came back from 21 months of learning at Sheriam and Hernof. But had it not been for everything Mesorah did prior to my leaving, the US, I don't think I would ever been able to do it.
Wow. And how's your adjustment back here been? What needs time to come back?
Yeah, it's a different world. Thank God. It's a culture shock, but it's good. And one of my mentors in Israel told me before I left, you have to go back to where you're from to figure out where you're going. So this is a very nice full circle, especially being here with everybody and adjusting a life back in New Jersey.
That is beautiful. I know Rabbi Rebbetzin Lewis and the whole Mesorah staff are very proud of you, what you've become and what you've accomplished. And you should be very successful in all your future endeavors. Thanks for being part of this. It's wonderful. Okay, our next amazing people. We have, let's go back to the males again. We have Avi Kemp and Johnny Aronson. Are you here?
Yeah. Hi, I'm Avi. I'm here. I'm not sure if Johnny made it on yet, but I'm here.
That's okay. Avi, you went to Rutgers, is that right?
That is correct, yes.
You were set up with a Chavrus and Highland Park. You actually had a quite an incredible and moving story that you went through, and something happened to your Chavrusa which impacted you and ended up becoming part of your family story. Can you tell us a little bit about what happened?
Sure, yeah, I was, the story's a little longer, but bottom line is I was coming back from Israel to become a sophomore at Rutgers. I knew I wanted a seder or someone to learn with daily. Rabbi Lewis I reached out to, and he put me in touch with a gentleman named Morty Brill of Highland Park, who was a balabas, a retired. Morty Brill of Highland Park, who was who had due to health issues no longer was in the working world, but a very capable person. And what began as a cat, just okay, meet this guy, became a 7-year chavrusa until Morty was nifter, and Morty became a major part of my life. He was had a brach under my wedding, and I had a child about 2 months ago who I had the honor of naming after Morty.
Mazel tov.
Thank you. I told Johnny when I just met Johnny when we started learning. I said, just so you know, last time Rabbi Lewis set me up to learn with somebody, I named my kid after him. So a little bit of pressure on you, just so you know.
Wow. So your chavrusa ended up his name.
Yeah,
and
he was
on to your child, Avi.
Yeah, his name was Mordechai Shlomo. We named our son Mordechai Shalev.
Wow, that's a beautiful name.
Thank you.
Mordechai. I mean, I never met this Mordechai you're talking about, but obviously he must have had such an amazing impact on you and your wife that you were willing to name your own child after this incredible individual.
Yes, very much so, and kept me learning every single day. So for 7 years we learned. So it was a very, very important relationship in my life.
That's incredible. I'll tell you that, first of all, Mordechai was one of the great heroes of Jewish history. Any background?
It's my other son in the background.
Tell him it's Mordechai's moment. He'll have his moment in a second.
Yeah, this is a deer. He's playing Legos on the floor here.
That's a beautiful name. So Mordechai is one of the great heroes of Jewish history. He was someone who really stood up for his people when everyone else was pretty much scared to stand up. Of course, as you know from the Purim story. So that's a very powerful name to name your son. And of course, we know that a person's soul is a neshama, and the middle letters are shem, which means name. So you've really taken a part of Mordechai's soul and you brought it into your own family, which is a very beautiful thing, but a very powerful thing for you have done. And I'm sure, I know that Mesorah had a major impact in making that happen for you.
100%. Without Rabbi Lewis, I would never have met Morty Brill, likely. And I let Rabbi Lewis know that plenty of times.
That's very nice. Avi, I wish you well.
Thank you.
Have much pride, much nachat from all your children.
Thank you so much, Rabbi.
Good stuff. Thanks for being part of the Mesorah. And of course, those who are watching, do not forget, we're celebrating 1, MySiyum this evening, but 2, of course, this is a way for you to contribute, to give your some of your resources, your maser money towards, listen, if Jeff Bezos happens to be online, 200 billion, 10% of that, just put it straight through. The charity campaign is open. We're delighted to take your contributions. But if you're not worth 200 billion, you don't need to be worth 200 billion to find happiness in this world. And of course, to contribute. So please do contribute anything you're able to this incredible organization, just to make Avi. Look at that beautiful face of Avi. Look at that. How can you say no to that? Come on. So thank you so much for that. And everyone else who's spoken so far. Let's move forward and meet our next group. And that is Dr. Stuart Green and Adam Nathel. Is that right? Did I pronounce your names correctly? Adam, I can see you. And Dr. Stuart Green, I can see you too.
Hi. Hi.
We're actually one above each other on my screens. So Stuart, you are a member of the Mesorah board. So you know what? Just being a member of a Jewish board, right? That itself is enough, right, to bring anyone to their knees. But I know that you've done so much for them and is such a valuable member of the team. So I want to hear a little bit about that. And you, Adam, you came to the first ever Jersey City rooftop Shabbat, I've heard. So you're part of Mesorah history. Adam, is that correct?
Yes, that's right.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So let's hear from you first of all, Adam. Tell me a little bit about your relationship with Mesorah, how it's impacted your life.
Sure. So I moved to Hoboken, New Jersey about 5 years ago with my wife. And, Mesorah really just connected us with a young Jewish community. In many ways, I kind of consider it sort of my shul almost, and we're very grateful for it. We've made a lot of, meaningful connections with other young professionals. And for me, Rabbi Lewis has definitely been someone in my life that I keep going back to and keep going to for direction and where to learn and so forth.
Tell me about the Shabbat in Jersey City. What was that like?
The Shabbats are great.
I know what it was like. That roof, by the way, if you haven't been there, it's a beautiful space, a great rooftop, looks over Manhattan and parts of Jersey. And it's really, the Shabbats I've spent there were always memorable and had a major impact on me. Tell me a little bit about the Shabbats over there you spent with Mesorah.
Oh, the Shabbats are wonderful. They're definitely a special experience being on the rooftop, being with so many young people who want to come out and celebrate Shabbat together. And, we have really great guest speakers. It's really just such an incredible experience. It's really something to be a part of. It's really nice.
Great. Adam, thank you so much. And we have your chavrus here, is that correct? Dr.
Yes.
Stuart Green. Doctor, thanks for joining us, first of all. I'm sure you're very busy. You have a lot of books to learn from looking behind you. I just have wine behind me, actually, over here. That's fine.
I'll trade you if you.
Worth it. Tell us, first of all, thank you so much for being part of the Mesorah board. I know getting Jews onto boards can be a very difficult process, but why are you on this board? Why did you choose this particular board to become part of, Doctor?
Sure. So I think you already heard a little bit about the board from Harvey, and it's an amazing group of people. But what it really stands behind is an amazing organization, which is Mesorah NJ. And I have to say, Mesorah NJ means just a tremendous amount to me. I'm not a young professional, but I used to be, earlier in my life, I guess. But not only that, I also
You look good. Don't worry about it. You look good.
I also grew up in an environment where, I had a Jewish identity, but not a lot else, and was looking for more than that. And fortunately, my wife, Tamara, and I had the tremendous luck or good fortune or whatever it might be to come across individuals and organizations like the Lewises, like Mesorah NJ, and to see what they can do and what kind of influence they can be. And whether it be through, the one-on-one learning that I now have a tremendous zchus to enjoy with Adam, whether it's through the programs, through the Shabbatons. I've been to the rooftop a couple of times myself. My wife has spoken there. It's just such an incredible energy and vibe to see that those people, all of them cutting together for that one purpose, to build on that Yiddishkeit and to get closer to Torah. And that pushes all the right buttons for me, and it's a big part of why
People
I'm part
forget.
of the board and a big part of
these
why I'm supporting the organization.
They
Sorry.
think these organizations, Doctor, are just for the participants. They should know that those people who come to speak, like myself, and the people who get involved afterwards, are getting just as much, if not more, out of being involved in these organizations as everyone else. So that's, I think you are a testament to that, yourself and your wife, Tamar, who I know have given time and resources and love towards the organization, which is a wonderful thing.
Absolutely. Absolutely right.
Adam, if you don't mind, I want to come back to you, Adam, because I have over here in my notes, if you don't mind, that you were involved in not only going to programming, but I think I made a mistake. You were actually involved in a yeshiva online program. Is that correct? I can't hear you. You got to unmute yourself. Can we unmute our dear friend, please?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, is that right? Did I get that right?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, tell us a little bit about that online yeshiva, the legacy yeshiva program you did over the summer, please.
Sure. It was something new for me. It was my first intro into having a chabrusa and a deeper dive into Jewish learning. I found it really meaningful. I learned a lot, and it's inspired me to keep learning actually with Stuart, and to really push myself to learn more Torah.
That's beautiful. I'm so pleased that's a rewarding experience for you. So I had in my notes, I want to ask you about that because online programming has been a thing, but you were doing international online program, which is a great thing, Adam.
Yes, it was really nice.
Wonderful. Okay, we have over here, we have to go back to more females over here because Mesorah obviously services the entire community. We have Rivki and Shirley. Shirley Shekel, is that correct? You're joining us? And Shirley lives in Maryland, but got involved in New Jersey. You went on the LA trip. I mentioned that Mesorah doesn't just do New Jersey program. They take their students all over the United States, Atlanta and Florida, California, and of course trips to Israel. And you went on the LA trip, and you also learned with Rebbetzin Esther Lewis. So tell us a little bit about the Mesorah LA trip, how it impacted you, and about your learning with Rebbetzin Lewis, please.
Yeah, of course. So I was so excited to find out that there was a trip to California. I'm further from New Jersey, so I don't get to see the Lewises and Esther as much as people living in New Jersey. So any chance that I could to go on a trip with them, I wanted to take. So we went to LA. There was a nice group of us, and we had a bunch of different classes with the Lewises and also local rabbis, Rabbi Quinn, who also was wonderful and really was able to tie in like really important lessons while still being humorous. So sorry, there's some background noise behind me.
Okay, we can hear you, don't worry.
Okay, great. So the learning was really wonderful. And one story that stuck out to me most, there was a speaker who is from Hollywood. His name was Michael Borkow, if I'm saying it right. And he was a writer and a producer, and most people will probably know the show Friends. So he was part of that show, and he spoke to us, and that his story really stood out to me, and I think to most of the group, because he grew up Jewish, but mostly culturally Jewish, not observant. And over time, he was in the middle of his career in Hollywood, and he really wanted to understand, Judaism and life a little bit more. And so he wanted to study, and he had to kind of figure out, what do I do? My demanding career in Hollywood, but, I want to understand real life, right? Even more. So long story short, his boss, I think, was actually very impressed by that and let him go for like 2 years, I think. And he went to Israel, to yeshiva, and came back and became observant. And, even though he was a writer in Hollywood, they knew that Shabbat was Shabbat for him. So it was a very interesting story. And he made a lot of really great points that just helped resonate with, I think.
You got back, Shirley, you started learning with Rebbetzin Lewis, correct? Or was that?
Yeah. We had Esther and I had been learning before that too.
Wow. So that's something you've kept up with as well.
Yes.
That's
I love my classes with Esther.
That's awesome. Guys, thank you all so much. I hope you've all got a taste. I know I missed a couple of people, but we are on a deadline over here. I do want to mention, though, Adam Buckstein and Fred Spieler, just a quick hi to you guys. Sorry, we're going to have to jump to the MySiyum itself. I've got a hard 6:30 stop. Just a quick 10-second hello from you guys, just to know that you're here and that we appreciate you joining us, Fred and Adam.
Hello.
A thumbs up. Thank you for being part of this. Sorry we couldn't get to you, but we know that the amazing work Mesorah has done has impacted you guys as well. We'll hear from your story possibly later. We're going to hand over. Thank you, Adam, as well. Quick hi from Adam as well. Just know we love you and appreciate you being part of Mesorah. Thank you, guys. We're going to hand over to Rabbi Lewis, who's going to complete the MySiyum, as well as this being something from his father as well. Thank you all. And remember, I'll see you at the end. If your heart is moved or not, contribute towards the amazing work that Mesorah is. And without further ado, we're going to hand over to Rabbi Lewis, who is outdoors right now, our man on the street, in the garden, far away from everyone.
Yes.
The fearless
Thank you. Thank you, Rabbi Hadjiel.
Thank you.
It was great to see you, Rabbi Hadjiel, even though we are separated by many, many miles. So thank you, everyone, for being here. Very big thank you to all the amazing learners, the 70 plus Mesorah young professionals who took their time to learn Gemara, many of them learning Gemara and Pirkei Avos, completing a whole Masechta, making their first MySiyum for the very first time. From those that I've spoken to, it's been really an amazing experience, coupled with the Batim who learned with them, coupled with the people who learned the Shabbos, the 30 plus people, friends, old and new, who came together to learn Masechta Shabbos. Meidla Nishmas, my father, Ivel Yitzchak, and Naftali David. He commemorated his first yahrzeit, my father's first yahrzeit 2 days ago, this past Friday. And as I was planning this MySiyum, I thought there would be nothing more appropriate than to make this situation happen, this big MySiyum, bringing everyone together. I want to explain to you a little bit who my father was, and you'll see how it became, it's so clear that this is such a beautiful thing. My father wasn't raised religious. He was actually a product of Kiruv before Kiruv was cool. Okay, he grew up in Long Beach, went to public school, and there's a fellow named Mr. Solomon who formed the Bach Bachurei Chamed Shul in Long Beach. And Mr. Solomon used to call public school kids off the sandlot. He used to drag them in for davening, and he used to teach them how to daven for the Yamod, how to learn, how to read the Torah. And my father was one of those kids. So as a teenager, he spent his days in the sandlot. And on Shabbos morning, he would go to shul. He would read the Torah, and it was all a credit to Mr. Solomon. He went off to the Navy, went to Columbia University. He went to the Navy after that. I don't think he was observant. But years later, when he was married and he had his first child, my oldest sister, he decided, you know what, I want to raise her in the shul. I want to raise her with Jewish values. And he went back to shul. And the reason he was able to seamlessly transition back into shul was because of the work of Mr. Solomon. It's really the outreach that he did with my father that enabled him to have that connection, to be comfortable, to fit into shul. It's such a barrier that we find so often, that someone who's not raised with it, even if later in life they are interested, but they just don't have the tools to feel comfortable fitting into the community. And so really he is a product of outreach, and that's obviously what we're doing here in Mesorah. We're trying to reach out and make things more comfortable for people. Years later, in 1981, my family went to Israel. My father had a sabbatical, and he took the family along with my mother. Obviously, we went to. It was actually my mother's idea to go to Israel for the year, and he was the public school teacher, and he took the family there, and he had all this free time. So what is he going to do with it? He could study history, he could study a lot of different things. He decided, I have my chance. I'm going to study Talmud. And so he walked into the Mir Yeshiva and he said, I want to learn Talmud. And he found someone named Yisrael Solomon who agreed to teach him Talmud. And there he got his start in learning Gemara. And it was a lifelong love of my father's, something that he loved to do. He used to teach us Talmud. He wasn't great at it. He wasn't a scholar by any means, but it's something that he was passionate about. It's something that he felt very strongly about imparting to his own children. And every Sunday he used to take us and learn with us. Sometimes we liked it, sometimes we didn't. But it's a lesson. His drive, his passion for it is something that stuck with all of us Lewis boys to learn Gemara with Dad later on. And even though he was much later on in life when he started, it didn't deter him. And when we are doing this MySiyum right now, I think it really embodies who my father was. This past Sunday was his unveiling. And I wrote this in an email the other day. And at the unveiling, Noam Stiegel from the Young Israel of Britain came all the way out to Paramus to be there at the cemetery. And I said, Noam, that's so amazing that you can. And he said, I had to come. You know what your father did for me? He said that about 20 years ago, when he was first becoming observant, he went to the Young Israel of Breakneck, and he sat down, and my father befriended him. He walked over to him, and he invited him over for Shabbos meals. And he said, no, I want to teach you how to read the Torah. You shouldn't just be sitting here on the sidelines. I want to teach you how to read the Torah, how to daven. I also got an email today from Corey Gold. It's such a touching email. Basically the same story. He became observant later in life, almost the same story. My father said, you know what? It's time to you're sitting here, you're observing. I want you to be a full person. He taught him how to read the Torah. He prepared him, and now he and Noam are regular Baalei Kriya in the Young Israel of Breakneck. My father had a passion for teaching. He was a teacher by trade. He was a teacher in the Breakneck North public schools for many, many years. But there's nothing that gave him more joy than to teach Torah, to impart it. He did it out of love. He did it with so much patience. That's who my father was. So I think there's nothing more appropriate than when we're having 70 plus Mesorah students who, for many of them, for maybe even most of them, it is their first time studying an entire page of Talmud, beginning to end. It's their first time making a siyum on anything. I think it's so appropriate that we are celebrating my father's yahrzeit in this way, of coming together, bringing Balabatim who have been in yeshiva for years and years, together with our Mesorah guys and girls who have not had that opportunity, but to share the Torah. There's no bond, there's no greater bond that you can have than the bond through Torah. I took many trips to Israel, and I've seen secular trips with Birthright. The bonds that are formed when you have a trip infused with learning Torah is so much greater than just bonds of having fun. So I think it's such an appropriate tribute to my father that we're able to do this. We're able to share Torah, to have these bonds, and I'm just grateful to everyone who made this happen, for everyone who volunteered their hours to learn Le'iloi Nishmas, my father. So right now we're going to do the Siyum. I'm going to finish Masechta Brachos. We're finishing Brachos Shabbos and Pirkei Avos. I'm going to finish the last few lines of Masechta Brachos. Amar Rabbi Elazar, Amar Rabbi Chanina. Talmidei Chachamim Marbim Shalom Ba'olam. Torah scholars bring peace unto the world. Shenamar v'chol b'noich limudei Hashem v'rav shalom b'noich. Al tikrei b'noich ela b'noich. Don't read that it's your sons. They actually build the world. Shalom rav la'aveser asacha v'in lam l'michshal. Yishalom b'chelach shalva b'nosach. There's all these verses about peace. L'man achai v'rai d'avana shalom b'ch. L'man beis Adonai Eloheinu v'akshatov loch. Adonai oz la'mo yitain. Adonai yivareches amo v'shalom. Hadron alach haroa v'slik Allah Masechta Brachos. Hadron alach Masechta Brachos Shabbos v'Avos v'Hadron Chalon. Daitan alach Masechta Brachos Shabbos v'Avos v'Daitan Chalon. Lo nisnash minach Maseches Brachos Shabbos v'Avos v'lo nisnash minan v'lo ba'alma hadain v'lo ba'alma da'asi. Hadron alach Maseches Brachos v'Hadron Chalon. Daitan alach Maseches Brachos v'Daitan Chalon. Lo nisnash minach Maseches Brachos v'lo nisnash minan v'lo ba'alma hadain v'lo ba'alma da'asi. Hadron alach Maseches Brachos v'Hadron Chalon. Daitan alach Maseches Brachos v'Daitan Chalon. Lo nisnash minach Maseches Brachos Shabbos v'Avos v'lo tisnash minan lo ba'alma hadain v'lo ba'alma da'asi. Hadron alach Masechta Brachos Shabbos v'Avos v'Hadron Chalon. Daitan alach Maseches Brachos Shabbos v'Avos v'Daitan Chalon. Lo tisnash minach Maseches Brachos Shabbos v'Avos v'lo tisnash minan v'lo ba'alma hadain v'lo ba'alma da'asi. Ratzon v'lefenecha Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei avosenu shtei tarascha u'menasenu ba'olam hazav te'min u'manu la'olam haba. Chanin bar Papa, Rami bar Papa, Nachman bar Papa, Achai bar Papa, Abba Mari bar Papa, Rachma bar Papa, Rachish bar Papa, Surcha bar Papa, Ada bar Papa, Daru bar Papa. Harev no Adonai Eloheinu, as divrei Saraska b'fina b'fifios amcha beis Yisrael b'nei anachnu kulenu v'tzetzenu v'tzetzei amcha beis Yisrael kulenu yidei shemecha v'lomedei sarasechem ne'oivai sechak minu mitzvasech ki la'olam hili Yili bisamim b'chukecha l'man lo evosh la'olam lo eshkach b'kudecha ki yibam ki yisani Baruch ata Adonai lamdenu chukecha amin 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 Sela v'ed modim anachnu lefanecha Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei avosenu shesamta chakinu v'yosh mebeis hamedrash v'lo miyoshvei Kronos. Ana mashkim v'hem mashkim. Ana mashkim l'divrei Torah. Him mashkim l'dvarim b'teilim. Anu amin v'hem amin. Anu amin l'kal miskar. V'hem amin v'ein l'kal b'miskar. Anu rotzim v'hem rotzim. Anu rotzim l'chayin olam haba v'hem rotzim l'ver shachas. Shneimar v'ata Elohim toredim l'ver shachas. Anshe dom mirma l'yechetzi yamehem v'ani yaftach bach. Yiratzon milofanecha. Adonai Elohai. Shem shazar tani l'sayim Maseches Brachos Shabbos v'Avos Ken ta'azreinu l'haschil Masechtos u'sfarim achirim l'sayim l'ilmod Ulalamed Lishmar Velasas Lakaim is called Divrei Salma Terasach Biavos Chus Kol Tanaim V'Amarayim V'Samidei Chachamim Yamod Li Ulazari Shelo Yomush Ator Mipiyim Piyazari V'Zerazari Ad Olam V'Siskayim B'Salecha Tancha Osach V'Shach B'Cha Tishmar Alecha V'Hakitzosi Hi Sisichecha Kivi Yerbucha Mecha V'Yosifu Lach Shnos Chayim Orech Yamim B'Mina Osher V'Chavod B'Smola Adonai Oz La'amo Yitain Adonai Yivarech Esamo V'Shalom. Yiskadal v'yiskadash shmei rabba v'yomadu asiv l'schadata l'chai mesai l'saka l'chai alma u'lemidnei kartet Yerushalayim u'l'shach le'lechalei b'gava u'l'mechar pulchana nufra me'aru l'asav u'pulchana dishmai l'asrei v'yamlich kutsha b'richu b'malchusei v'karei v'chayechan v'yamichan v'chayechol beis Yisrael v'agalo v'zman kariv v'imru amen Yehi shmei rabba mevarach Olam liyomei Yisparach, 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 Yisraman, Yisnasei, Yizadar, Yizalav, Yizalal, Shmei Tegedusha Berichu, Leila Min Kal B'Chatzav Shirasa, Tish B'Chatzav Nechmasa, Damiran B'Yamav V'Imru Amen. Al Yisrael V'Arabban V'Alkamidin V'Alkol Tamidei Samidin V'Alkamandas Can be Arais V'Divyas Radim V'Divachal Asar V'Asar Yehi L'Chon L'Chon Shalom Arav V'Chin V'Chesed V'Rachamim V'Chayin Richin Zon Revichei Urfor Konamin Kadamin V'Shmai V'Arav V'Imru Amen. Yehi Shalom Arav V'Min Shemai V'Chaim Tov V'Malein Malkal Yisrael V'Imru Amen. Oseh Shalom V'Imrama V'Yaseh Shalom Aleinu V'Alkal Yisrael V'Imru Amen. Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov.
You're videoing it.
Okay, Mazel Tov, all of you. We can see you all now. What an incredible celebration. That was like some good social distancing, mass square dancing. We Jews have perfected this social distance dancing. As we come to the conclusion of the event, our friends will keep on celebrating. Just to remember that this is a charity campaign. The amazing work you've seen, which all of you somehow may have been part of yourselves. If not, many people are watching this for the first time. Mesorah is an incredible organization that can only exist if we have friends who are able to put themselves into the organization and help us by giving us your resources. You can go to the charity campaign, charity.com/MySiyum. We would ask you, please, not to leave without making some contribution at this time. You know, the Talmud tells us, my friends, that saving one's soul changes the world. And saving a soul comes in many forms. Sometimes it's physical, sometimes it's emotional, psychological, and also spiritual. And Mesorah, I think we all know, have learned to create an environment that allows hundreds of people to, and over the years, thousands, of course, to have their lives impacted and improved and brought closer to Judaism, to Torah, mitzvot, and of course, to Israel. And that can only happen, that only happens with the incredible friendship that each and every one of you have given, and God willing will continue to give. These are challenging times, my friends, I cannot lie. We've all been through a lot over the past number of months. Myself, Rabbi Lawrence Hadjoff, who have been a pleasure to host this evening, to MC it, but to be involved in Mesorah. And I know, working in the Jewish world, I'm a customer who's also behind the counter. I get to see the challenges that many Jewish organizations have felt over the past 4 or 5 months since this terrible corona disease has come forward. And unfortunately, when it comes to charitable giving, it's not so easy now, not so easy, which is understandable. But we know that tzedakah can bring Yeshua, that charitable donations can bring redemption to ourselves, to the world as well. So I would ask you, whatever you're comfortable giving, even if it's a little uncomfortable, that's the way it goes sometimes. We would ask you, please, to dig deep and to make some donation if possible. I'd like to welcome everyone else, because it wasn't just those people who saw who were learning. I want to welcome everyone else here who learned with the chavrusas and the 100. I would, if I had the time and the ability, I would name all of you, but you know who you are. I want to welcome all those people, all the chavrusas who learned over the past few weeks or months to complete your Talmudic tractate of brachot, of Shabbat, of Pirkei Avot, and this celebration is yours. The Talmud tells us that just being part of the Siyum celebration, actually, it's as though you learned everything that had been learned. So no matter how little you learned, it's not a quantity thing, it's a quality thing. So I want to thank you from the bottom of our hearts here at Mesorah for dedicating your time and your Torah learning towards this incredible Siyum. And I want to finish just with the name Mesorah. Mesorah literally means traditions, but it means to hand over. And what a perfect name for this organization, because it allows everyone who comes into contact with it, whether it's a class, whether it's a program, whether it's a trip, whether it's some kind of online learning, everyone who gets involved is now part of the Mesorah, of the tradition, of the link that goes back thousands of years. And that is the incredible work of Rabbi and Rebbetzin Lewis, of Rabbi Antelis, and of course the Ashi Namdar, that allows us all to be part of this incredible organization, Highland Park, New Jersey, Jersey City. And I know people who come from much further afield in order to be part of this organization. Friends, I'd really like to ask you all to dig deep. Please do give something. We want to continue the amazing work of Mesorah, to allow the incredible work to continue in each and every home where Torah is learned under the Mesorah banner. I'd like to finish with just a quick blessing, and that is that each and every one of you who gave your time and your efforts and your resources, financial and otherwise, to this organization and their incredible and fantastic work, you should continue learning. If this is your first Siyum, Mazal Tov. If it's your 10th one, also Mazal Tov, but it should be the first of many, many Siyumim, and you should be MySiyum. You should complete many good experiences in your lives, whether it's with learning or family or general simchas machot, celebrations that come your way. If you don't know Mesorah, I know there are people watching now who just kind of found out this was happening and joined, do find out about Mesorah, about the incredible work that they do. They're always looking for learning partners, for financial partners, for friends, for relationships. If anyone's been into Rabbi and Rebbetzin Lewis's home, never mind the amazing atmosphere and the wonderful children and the delicious food you get at every single Shabbat, the atmosphere and the friendship and the love that you feel from this amazing Rabbi and Rebbetzin and this organization is indescribable. So I would ask you, please, to reach out and become part of the Mesorah family. You should, every one of us should go forward. And you know what? At these challenging times, a little bit of celebration, simcha, and dancing is what we all need. Even if we are far away from it, we feel it close in our hearts. Thank you all for being part of this incredible organization. Mazel tov to all of you who, and all the chavrusas who finished the Siyum. This is your day. This is your moment. And thank you all to all the people who contribute their resources via the charity campaign, charity, charidy.com/MySiyum. We'll see you all again very soon with more incredible celebrations for yourselves and for Mesorah as well. Thanks everyone for being part of this.
Mazel tov, mazel tov, mazel tov.
Everyone.
Woo! Yay. Thank you, Rabbi Hagioff.